welcome to the All Bases Covered podcast, the number one for your GAA Rounders news and gossip. You're joined by your host this evening, Ollie OSullivan, myself, Darrell Dolan, and our special guest, Ollie Fitzsimons. Guys, how is everyone?
Great. All good.
So, guys, we have a very interesting and sad show this evening. We're joined by Ollie, obviously, a big stalwart of the game. Ollie has 9 senior men's titles to his name, 4 mixed titles, 4 All-Stars, captain 2, maybe more teams in his past. And Ollie, you're stepping away from the game.
Yeah.
You're stepping away from playing anyway.
Stepping away from playing, not from the game. I hopefully get more involved in the game, but stepping away from playing is just, the old health is letting me down a little bit. I had a few injuries last season and just slow to recover, and as soon as I recover, there'll be another one. So I have issues with health, so I think it's time just to be wise and do the right thing and leave it there for younger players coming on, because there is younger players there to fill in the places, and it's time to give them a little shot at it and mind myself and be able to focus on a little bit of maybe management, coaching, whatever it takes, and try and build up the game as good as we can and be able to go and continue my work, everyday job. It's important as well, and family life, it's also important. So I think it's a wise decision at this time.
And Ollie, I just wonder, did the way that last season kind of played out have an extra bearing on injuries? Because I know a lot of people were saying that it was very relentless with so many games between men's and mixed. Like, do you think that the condensed season maybe accelerated this, or had you kind of this planned all along before the season, saying, okay, I'm going to give it one more year?
No, I wouldn't have had it planned. I would have been one of the people that would have said I'd play till I'm 70. I really would love to have played on, but I got well, the first thing was the hamstring, which it's a very common thing for any player to pull a hamstring, and it was so slow to heal, and I got physio and lots of sessions of physio, and as soon as I went back, it was gone again, and it still niggles all the time. But that was, I suppose, a warning sign, not a major one. But then as the season went on and I went back training, I just took a swing at a ball one evening and made a mess of me back, and I wasn't able to stand up for maybe 4 or 5 days. So it still niggles me as well. So it is the little issues that are there, So what do we do? It happens, but it just happened to me. Look, I got a long career out of it, I have to say, but I hoped that I would have been able to keep going a lot longer. But look, I'm happy enough. I have lots of medals, lots of All-Stars. A lot of teams don't get all that, so I consider myself lucky, and I'm there to help out and improve the club and see what we can do from there on.
I'm really only here in case Darrell completely breaks down. So how did the rest of Erne Eagles take it when you broke the news?
I didn't really break the news as such to them all yet, but I'd say they have a good idea at this stage. I said it to a few of them. Look, we have really good young players, a lot fitter than me, and they will be able to take on whatever position is there and available for them. So I have no worries there. They have people like Darrell, Damien and James and Gerard, and hopefully maybe Gary might come back this year. If you have people like that still on the team, I hope it didn't leave any of the long-term, Sean Og, Onro, people like that with experience. Like, you're not going to get into trouble that quick just because one old fella packs it in, We have the experience. The players are good. We have a few new players, Shane and Nathan coming on. Nathan had run, he'd be around the bases in seconds. If you have people like that, there's no worries.
So, Ollie, we might just have a quick, recap on your career. How did you get involved in Rounders initially?
I I suppose a note would have come into school when I was no older than Louis, my little fella, 7 or 8, and meet in the park on a Saturday morning. That's a long time ago, and Maeve and Fidelma, they were the 2 people that were there, and I think Sean, I don't know if he was there at that stage, but he wasn't that far behind them. But Maeve and Fidelma gave the training sessions, kept it all going. It was very enjoyable, and I loved going to it every Saturday that we could. And I suppose that was the start of it. Then we kept coming back. We had a decent team. We got to Mosney a few years. That was brilliant fun too for any young fella. And I suppose then there was a little bit of a lull for a couple of years then, and I rejoined the Rounders. I suppose, I don't know, maybe you have the year there that I came back into it. Maybe 2002, I think. And we won the All-Ireland that year again, and I stayed with it then until I think 2007 was over, and first child Emily was born at that stage, and I just decided I'd focus on family, which I think was a wise decision at that stage. And I retired before, so I don't think I'll be coming back this time, but I really enjoyed it, and I think that's about it.
Well, I'd say you might not be the first sports person to have more than one retirement, and I think listening back on some of the broadcast of the finals, I think Eddie referred to some of the Erne Eagles as Lazarus. So who knows? You could be back again yet, but I suppose only time will tell on that one.
Can I ask what made you come back after your last retirement?
I suppose the main driver, the best way to put it is, I got a call from the late Dimna, and Dimna, she rang myself and she said she was going to ring Gary as well. And I think you were on the team at that stage. It was a mixed team, Darryl, back in 2017, I think. And am I right in that?
Yeah.
So she made a call and she said to me, would you fancy coming to play a game on Sunday? And I says, oh no, I says I wouldn't be able for that, you know. And I considered myself well past the sports thing at that stage, but I think a day or two went past, and the next thing she rang again. She said, I've been talking to Gary. Gary said that, sure, look it, we'll go over for the crack. If Ollie goes, I'll go. So after us coming, I think it was, the 2 of us went, and we got a couple of horror stares when we walked in, but by the end of the game, I think the people weren't staring that much. We more or less picked up wherever we left off 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and that was it. The 2 of us were back in, we were kind of hooked, and we started messaging around to the lads that, you know, Damien and James and Jared and all the other lads that were in the original team, and we said, this is great crack, you know, you should come back. And we hemmed and hawed, and that was about it for that season. And then everyone knows the news that came in January 18 then with Dimna passing, and we had a little conversation with the lads, and they said, that's it, there's absolutely no way we're letting this pass. We're going back, we're going to get the old team together as much as possible, and we're going to win it, which we did win it, no problem, in style. And it wasn't easy, but we knew what we had to do.
And Ollie, just when you say it wasn't easy, I'd say in 2018, you know, there was famous, you know, come from behind to beat the Heath in that final, you know, 2 out, a man up to bat that I don't know if he had gotten on base before on that day. At that stage, you were on second base, and you end up having to run home from second. Was that the longest dash you ever had to do?
To run from second home. You don't pick Ollie Fitzsimons, but I made it.
Is that what happened, the hamstring?
No, the hamstring was okay that day. But we made it, and it was It was unreal to win that. Now, it was unreal. And the occasion that was in it and who it was for really made the difference, you know. So, look, it's an inspiration to any team, I suppose, that never say never.
And Ollie, obviously, you know, you've so many accolades and you've won so many titles and everything. Is there any one in particular that stands out, or is it that 2018 one that you're talking about there?
I'd say, well, 2018, it was a very important year for us, coming back, proving what we could do, proving that with all the competition in the country, the new teams and everything, that we could come back and do it. But I suppose I did captain the 2019 team, and that final, it seems a little bit more special to me. I don't know whether it is because I was captain, but I think we took more control of the game that day. We hadn't to chase as much. It was neck and neck halfway through, but then we really, I suppose, settled into it, made a few changes. Darryl, you made a big difference when you went out. Things like that, you know, we really, with an inning to go, I suppose we could feel that we were going to win that. With 18 seconds to go, we hadn't a clue whether we were going to win or not. So I suppose 19 was a little bit more special for me.
Ollie, obviously, you know, you've played kind of nearly in two different eras of rounders, you know, like back in the 2000s, it was very, you know, a lot of people would say it's a very different game. Do you see much changes that has happened in the game since then to now, or is it much the same?
It's a lot different. Back when we were winning all the, you know, every year, I suppose you had your big hitters, and your big hitters were positioned. They're still positioned in certain places to do the harm when the bases are loaded and stuff like that. But you had your big hitter at that stage, and he'd whack the ball out, and you could let them do whatever. But I think the game has changed more now, that you don't rely so much on your big hitter. You rely on smart batting. You rely on what I've learned to do in later years, not back that stage. I've learned to place the ball, and I'd be confident that I would be able to nearly pick a mark on the pitch and bat to that position, which wasn't happening as much back those times. So I suppose in saying that, I'd say the game has changed. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think as well, it's different for the latter games. There's so many more teams. Like, do you find now the competition is completely different? You're traveling. I know you talked about the multitude of games that you faced last season, but you're traveling all over the country. Do you feel now, compared to the 10 in a row, you have such a different variety? It's harder to gauge what teams are out there, because you could be playing, you know, different team this year than you'd never met before.
Yeah, that's it. Like back that time, I suppose we were playing the same teams more or less every year. You had a few teams in it at that stage that are gone now, but we're hoping that all those teams will come back with new players and that. But there were so many new teams that we never had met, you know, when we came back in 2018. You had to, you know, look at all these players, the different styles, players that would have been major into hurling and stuff like that would catch a ball with 2 fingers, where other lads had struggled to even get the ball, you know. So I suppose it is a big achievement when you see we're not a hurling county. We're good at hurling and all that, but in comparison to Wexford and, you know, Kilkenny, all those big hurling counties, you know, we are very good at what we do, and I hope it continues that way. And the more competition that is in the game, it will bring everyone on, and it's great to see it, and I hope a lot more teams enter this year.
Yeah, well, I think Marie will probably agree with you there that Wexford is, you know, a better example of a hurling county anyway. But Ollie, I know, like you mentioned in the past that there was different teams, and I know it was kind of split. You had your North and your kind of South conferences, and then that led into semi-finals, and obviously the likes of Clarecastle back in the day, and other teams like that. Who's the toughest opponent, either player or team, that you've faced over your career?
Well, I suppose back 10 in a row, I say the Dubs were very, very tough. They were a very good team, and we actually drew a couple of games with them, and I think they were probably the opponents at that stage, where they're still very good now. But I would have to say that the Heath, we played them in 2 finals, they're a very good team. Carrick Macross have come on leaps and bounds. Lynn Barntown, Briefy are never that far away. I know in the last year or two the men's team has suffered a little bit, but toughest opponent, if I was to, I know his name comes up a lot, and a lot of people will agree with me. Somebody that you don't want to see in front of you when you're up batting is Eddie Healy, because I don't know what it is about Eddie. He's so fast. He might be slowing down a little bit like me, but wherever you go to bat, Eddie's nearly standing in front of the ball. So I'm going to give that one to Eddie, because he's a great player and he's at the game as long as I am, and a tough man to beat in shortstop. I'd say he'll agree with me.
And he's well able to give the lip on the field as well. So
yes, very well in. Yeah.
I'm always interested to know if people prefer playing the mixed. When we pride ourselves on being an inclusive organisation that has ladies and females playing together. So which do you prefer, playing in the mixed game or in just the men's only?
I enjoy both, but I'd have to say the men's, because I'm not going to say with the mixed it's not a level playing field with the ladies and the men, but with the men I feel is more level the whole way through, whereas in the mixed, I don't want to sound that I'm not favouring it, but there's weaker players and then there's stronger players, and every team has that. But I do enjoy the mixed, and it is a very good team sport as well, and an inclusive sport, as you said. But I'll have to say I prefer playing on the men's team.
Do you think, and I just see it with my own club, do you find that having a mixed team within the club helps keep a men's team and a ladies team going?
Oh, it does. Yeah, it does, definitely. Yeah, because it helps. It strengthens the club, because when you're doing mixed as well, you're able to train ladies and men alongside each other, have your games, split it up, give people a chance to play in different positions, and you can change your batting, you can relax a little bit. So it does help, and training together with larger numbers is always good for rounders.
And Ollie, would you say that like your slight preference to the men's over the mixed game, would the fact that, say, like, I know Erne Eagles tend to play certain formations, would that have a bearing on it, in that it's like, oh well, these players play in these positions, so that position isn't up for grabs? Do you think that would have a bearing on that?
Yeah, I'd say people tend to swap positions slightly when they're playing mixed rather than when they're playing men's. Even yourself, Darrell, you tend to float outfield when you're playing mixed. Sometimes you come in and you pitch. Other players have only one position, whereas I was playing the mixed. I tend to stay on a base, which suited me better. So it's hard to say, but it's position-wise, people like their position, but as you said, in a mixed team, they might have to move, they mightn't feel comfortable, they mightn't play their best. So I think the men's does suit, because you can stick to your position as much as possible. I hope what I'm saying is clear, but
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like,
the comfort of the position you're happy playing is the best for you on that team that day.
I'm going to put you on the spot because I'm sure Darryl won't ask the question, but you've been in Erne Eagles for a really long time. So who's the player you're going to miss playing with the most, or your favorite player to play with on your own team?
Well, I'd say I'll miss them all playing with them, but I suppose I'll miss Gerard. Gerard is, he's there. He has something to say about everybody, everyone, everything. He has a comment. When there's silence and everyone's under pressure, there might be a little bit of tension along the sideline. Gerard always has something to say. It lightens the mood. It is a big help. And I hope Gerard stays at it because he's a great man for the game. And I probably miss Gerard the most playing. I know I'm probably leaving out some of the other lads, but everyone kind of sticks together on the sideline. It's a great team. People don't have to be told what to do, where to go as such on our team at this stage. Everyone just knows what's going to happen when the play goes to them, where they have to go. So I will miss it, but I'll be there. But I will miss playing. But I'll not miss the pressure of knowing that I'm not the fastest man and I have to make it to base because, I'll not miss that part of it.
So, Ollie, have you any advice for a player starting out? What's the one line that you could give someone if they want to improve their rounders playing?
I'd say a big thing and a major thing is listen to who has the experience. Listen to your coach. They know what way the game goes. They know what is the best position to stand in to bat. They know the best position to stand in, let it be shortstop or a base. They're not going to tell you wrong. They have the experience. We have the medals. We have the trophies to prove that. You don't get those from not listening. We had to listen as well. So I'm in a different position now. Young people coming on. Can't wait to get at it this year with the youngsters. Get them out, get them to listen, help them along, and we will build up teams. So I hope that answers that question for you.
Yeah, no. Thanks very much, Ollie. Look, really appreciate you taking the time to come on here, and this is I suppose your announcement to the country and the community around us, as well as our own team, that you'll be stepping away from playing at senior level. But no, I just want to say thanks very much.
Thanks yourselves. Thanks to all the club. Thanks all the lads and the girls for all the support, and I'll be there to help them all as much as I can. Thank you. Thanks, Darryl, Marie.
Thanks, Ollie.
Cool.
Like me cow. It's behind the man. It's behind Amanda.
Jesus Christ.
On the wall. And then Amanda just steps in.
Oh, I'm definitely using that clip. Definitely, isn't it?